Hey everyone, this is Alex with Building a Life on Jesus. I know it has been way too long since I've come out with a new video, and that is on me. I have not taken enough time to write another script and do other videos, as well as I thought I was going to do a bunch of Lego videos, and I've been too kind of lazy on that. That's on me as well, which I hope to make more of an effort on fixing that problem. However, next week for us in America, it's going to be Thanksgiving, a time where we're asked to think about what we are thankful for. So I want us to first start with the simple question of, what are you thankful for? Now, the basic Thanksgiving answers that we always give is, I'm thankful for family, I'm thankful for this food, I'm thankful for my friends, which I'm not saying anything against such things as being thankful for. But I want you and I to contemplate. Right now, today, on November 21st, 2025, what are you thankful for? What's one thing that you're genuinely thankful for that God has given you? For me, I would say it's having the ability to come on here and share the good news of Christ's redemptive power on here. To some that might sound silly, but to me, having the ability to film, having the ability to upload on my YouTube channel, having the ability to have people who want to watch my videos, that is a blessing in itself, because I'm getting to share the good news of Christ with others. And the beautiful thing about gratitude is, it isn't solely about the big things. The food, the friends, the family, those are big things. It's not solely about those. It is also about the tiny things. The ones we are so quick to rush past. The ones where we barely even notice them. The ordinary moments that usually pass by on a daily basis, we just miss, and they are blessings. The biggest one is the breath we don't even notice. Think about it. We take a breath all the time and expect that we're going to be able to take another, and another, and another. But how can we trust that that's going to happen? Because it's consistently been able to happen. And yet one day, we're going to go for our next breath and it will not be there. The little things. The smile we didn't expect. The people that we meet daily who bring a smile to our face, or they smile at us. Getting to have interactions with fellow human beings. It's these little reminders that show us that God is closer than we can truly realize on a daily basis. Because sometimes the small things provide the loudest whispers of His love. I want us to begin, though, with an illustration before I get into the deep depth of this lesson. Here is an image. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the image is yet, but just look at it. Can you really tell what that is? If I put it up closer, could you tell what that is? No. I can, at least. I don't know what it is. Just kidding, I do. But if I were to look at that and not know what the image is, of course, I'm not going to know what exactly I'm showing you. And yet, this is what happens when our hearts get overwhelmed. Life can feel blurry, like this image. You cannot tell what this image is. I've zoomed it in, so we don't know what the full picture is. Because it's hard to make sense of a blurry and overwhelming life. It's hard to see the good when every single thing continues to go wrong. And yet, who we're going to look at today, Paul, and his words to the church at Philippi, hit so deeply on being thankful. Because he writes about gratitude at a moment in his life where, if we were to be in his situation, would be grumbling and complaining all the way. You see, when Paul wrote the letter to the church at Philippi, He was in prison. Now, at this point, he was in a house arrest situation. So he wasn't in like a deep, dark dungeon, but he was in a house where he could not leave. And the foods and the amenities that he needed had to be brought in by friends. And, not to mention, he was chained to a Roman guard 24/7. Of course, they rotated, but he was stuck in the small house. We think about it, he's probably cold quite a bit. He was chained, of course. He probably felt alone at times, because, yeah, he had the Roman soldier there, but that Roman soldier probably wasn't a friend, except when he was able to share the gospel with those individuals. And at this point in Paul's life, he was unsure of his future. Now, if we read on, he does get to be taken out of prison after the 2 years that he's in Rome, but he then goes back to prison a couple of years later and then is executed. But at this point, Paul is unsure of his future. And yet, from this very place of uncertainty, Paul writes to the church at Philippi, "I thank my God every day and every time I remember you." Which, that completely amazes me. A man in this situation, to me, it would be hard to be happy. Yet, Paul writes to the Philippians, and he isn't surrounded by comfort. He isn't preparing for a holiday like we are here in the U.S. He wasn't around a table with family and friends that cared about him and loved him. He was waiting to hear if he was going to get to live or die via the Caesar's decision. And still, his words start with gratitude, the kind of thankfulness that stops us in our tracks. So let us read Philippians 1, verses 3 through 11, and see what Paul has to say. He writes, "I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine, for you all making my prayer with joy, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. It is right for me to feel this way about you all, because I hold you in my heart, for you are all partakers with me of grace, both in my imprisonment and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel. For God is my witness, how I yearn for you all with the affection of Christ Jesus. And it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God." Man, I had a rough time reading that, and I've read through it a couple times. But we saw there, Paul chooses gratitude first. He chooses thankfulness first, because he had every reason to complain. Like I said, he's in prison. He's, I guess, really not prison, but he's under house arrest. He's not able to leave and go freely. Remember, Paul was going around all over the place in the ancient world, sharing the gospel with people. And now he's confined to a singular house in Rome. But instead of complaining, he starts with thanksgiving. Not because life was good for him, but because God had given him everything he needed. He gave him loving people and blessings every day. He gave him the church of Philippi. That's why he's writing this letter. Epaphroditus came and brought him aid. And in the meantime, Epaphroditus got sick. But yet Paul was still thankful that he had friends in Philippi who cared about him and was worried about Epaphroditus, but was sure that he would be able to survive and be able to go back to Philippi, which he did because he was the bearer of this letter. But Paul was surrounded by people who supported him, people who prayed for him, and people who stood with him, even when he felt like he may have been alone. And maybe not just at Thanksgiving, but every day, we should start like Paul did in this letter. Not by looking at what we lack or what we don't have, but remembering the people and blessings God has placed in our everyday lives. Paul sees God's work even when life felt stagnant for him, stuck. He couldn't go anywhere. Remember, he was in under house arrest for 2 years. He couldn't go where he wanted to. And in verse 6 he says, "He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion." Paul may be stuck, but he knows God sure isn't. He can't move forward physically because he's, remember, chained up. But God's story still can. Remember, he was chained up to a Roman guard every single day. So what did he do? He shared the gospel with this new guard every single day. He made use of every opportunity that he could to share the good news of Christ with every person that he interacted with. So maybe we need that reminder today. Because just since life may feel slow and messy, doesn't mean that God has stopped working in our lives. And I know that we can feel that way. But I want to urge you and comfort you and let you know that God is still working. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. And then Paul prays for them that their love would abound more and more. So again, instead of complaining and sharing, oh, woe is me, he, in chains, is praying for other people, those he cares about. He's praying for them with depth. He's praying for them with affection. He's praying for them with hope, that they would be able to share the good news and grow in their love for Christ. You see, this hard season didn't shrink Paul's heart. It stretched it out. It made it bigger. These trials made him more loving. They made him more prayerful and more thankful for the good things that he had in his life. In a situation that could be all but bad, he saw the good in the situation. He was saying, I'm chained up for the gospel, but the good news is I have a audience that cannot leave my side. I get to share with every single person that comes in here the good news of Christ, and I am thankful for that. He's thankful for these people who sent a member of their church to come take care of him and to bring him supplies and food, because they were allowed to do that. It's beautiful to think about that Paul, even in the midst of this terrible situation in his life, was thankful for the very, very minute things that we would see as, it's honestly condemning for some of us, including myself, because many times I'm not thankful for things. So this lesson came from conversations with people thinking about, what should I be thankful for? Why am I so unthankful for the many, many things that God has given me? And it's mainly because of unmet expectations. And I'm sure Paul didn't expect to be in prison, and yet he's still thankful. So Paul should be an example for all of us, including myself. So maybe reading this passage can be an invitation for us this Thanksgiving, as well as for every day, to be thankful for the big and the little things that we are given. All right, I've tempted you long enough with the photo. So you had this unsure image of what this is. Look, it's me. You get to see me in a better looking photo, because I look very, very pale in this photo, this video right now, but this one actually makes me look pretty healthy. And that's just the light I'm using. I'm not actually ill. But we need to think about, what does this all mean for us? Because gratitude isn't something we wait to feel. It's a lens we are to choose to use to look through our daily lives. And just like how before it was blurry, we didn't understand the whole picture, now you do. Now you get to see two faces of me instead of one. Aren't you happy? Because when our perspective shifts, what was blurry becomes clear. What felt heavy becomes hopeful. What felt empty becomes full of small reminders that God is still at work, even in the midst of our trials. So like Paul, we can thank God for the people and the blessings that He's placed in our lives. We can trust that the work God started, He will finish. And we can let our love grow even in the difficult seasons of our lives. So today, and during this holiday season, take a moment and adjust that gratitude lens. Look for God's goodness in every single situation. I have been pushed, and I'm making it an effort that every single day I wake up, I think of 5 things that I'm thankful for. They're big things, they can be little things. But tell God how thankful I am for the gifts that He has given me, especially the gift of life. I'm alive another day. Not everybody gets to have that. Some have passed away. So I am still blessed to be here and get to talk to you and share with you the good news. So today, and during this holiday season, and every day, we need to take a moment to adjust our lens. Look for God's goodness, remembering the people and the blessings He has given us, even when we don't deserve it. Because notice the small gifts, because they're usually the ones we tend to overlook. So let our gratitude rise up, not because everything is perfect, but because we serve a God who is faithful and will complete His good work. So I want to remind us and end off with this. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. You just got to trust that He knows what He's doing. And I am certain that He is. So thank you guys. Love you. And I am so grateful to have the opportunity to get to speak with you again today. See ya. And hope you have a great Thanksgiving.